Hey, I decided to go ahead and make a video of my experience at MEPS. I think this camera is pretty horrible, so it might be a little staticky. I'm going to try not to make this really long, but try to get as much detail on it as possible. Well, when I went to MEPS, the day I was supposed to go to the hotel, I went to go see my recruiter first, and he gave me like a briefing, told me what clothes to wear. He made sure I brought an outfit. He wanted something like a collared shirt, something that you would wear to an interview. You don't want to go overdressy, but you don't want to go look like a slob either. Once I showed him my outfit, I pretty much finished with him, and my godmom actually transported me over to the hotel, which was in downtown Nashville, here in Tennessee, and it was the Maxwell Millennium House. That's where I stayed. I was on the 4th floor. I got there, and I was actually there a whole hour early, so I had to wait down into the lobby. It was freezing because we actually had an ice storm come through that night. I don't know if you guys saw that on the news, but we had an ice storm come through, and everybody was barricaded indoors, so we didn't even know MEPS was going to be open the next day. Well, I got there, and they had actually had a group of shippers that were supposed to ship out that day, which actually got held in, so they were supposed to go with me to MEPS to ship out. So I got there. I was the only girl. It was pretty much like, I guess you can call it like a rec hall. People were playing board games. There was air hockey. There was television. They were playing video games. And I kind of just stayed down there with all the guys. I got to meet everybody. There was one other Air Force. He was also processing that same day. Everybody else had already processed. They were just waiting to ship out. And basically, I stayed down there until I'm not sure exactly who he was. I guess you can call him like a liaison. He gave us our rooms and our keys, and we had to get this little tag to put on our bags. And then I got my room number, and I went up to my room. My recruiter told me I was supposed to have a roommate, but it turned out that I was all by myself, which was kind of good in the end. That way I had my own privacy. I was able to be by myself and relax. I get up to my room, and then I went back downstairs and did all that good stuff. They feed you dinner, which was actually, it was not that good. I mean, it's free, so you can't really complain too much. I think they had like green beans, there was chicken fried steak, chicken tenders, nothing really too healthy, so be careful. They did have salad, which I did eat salad, and I drank a lot of water, which was really good, especially since you're doing weigh-in and blood testing and blood pressure the next day. You don't want to have anything too high in sodium because that will pop up your blood pressure pretty good. But I did that, I ate, and then I went to bed. I tried going to bed super early. I couldn't. It got to the point where I was super tired the whole day, and then when I was trying to go to sleep, it turned out that I just couldn't do it. So I was on the phone just talking to my mom, my friend, my coworkers, my boss. I was on the phone with everybody, and I got to the point to where I ended up going to bed around 1 or 2 that morning, and wake-up call wasn't until, if I'm not mistaken, the call was at 5:30, but I take a while to get ready. So I ended up waking myself up at 4:30, took a shower, got dressed, looked really nice. I had made sure I had almost all your stuff. Make sure you pack all your stuff, like your phone chargers, because you don't want to leave that at the hotel. And then at that morning, once you get all your stuff, take all your stuff. Once you leave that room in the morning, make sure you have all your luggage with you, because you're not going to have enough time to go back upstairs to get all your stuff. So go down to breakfast with your bags. They fed us scrambled eggs. They had bacon, sausage. Stay away from the bacon and sausage, high in sodium. I ate a little bit of just a little bit. I probably shouldn't, but I ate a little bit of hash browns. I ate a little bit of eggs, and don't stay away from the juices. Those are really high in sugars. I drank I think about 4 glasses of water, because remember, you have to pee at MEPS, so you might as well load up on the water now, give it time to go through your system and you have to pee. So I finished drinking and eating, and then we all line up in the bottom lobby. Everybody's there. You have all your branches. And then you have someone there that tells you what to do. And then the charter buses are what takes you over to the MEPS station. So we lined up in a single file line up against the wall. Everybody has their bags and belongings. And once the bus is ready, you head outside onto the bus. The bus rider is really cool. Like I said, I met a couple new people that morning, and everybody was kind of nervous. Everybody's excited. Majority of people were shipping out. There was not many people that was with me that was actually processing like I was. We get there, and it's freezing. I want to say it was in the low 30s. It was freezing. And then our MEP station, kind of on top of a hill. So it's right on that breezeway. So it's nothing but a freezing cold breeze that goes through, and we had to sit out there for 30 minutes. So you're out there and you're just waiting and waiting for 30 minutes to go inside. And then finally, one of the Marines came out. He was in uniform, and he told us to go into formation, and we lined up in a block, and he explained very quickly what we were supposed to be doing while we were there. If we had any questions, make sure we had our IDs out, make sure you have your driver's license or state ID and your social security card out, because you're going to be needing that at the front desk. So basically, they tell you the right way to enter in, organized manner. So you go inside, and then you go through this metal detector, and then they gave you a baggage room. It's cameraed so that way you don't have to worry about anybody messing with your stuff. Put everything in it that you're not going to need. Cell phones, either have it on silent or turn it off. Especially on vibrate, people don't really like that, because if it vibrates, it's actually a distraction. They also tell you in medical, cell phones have to be off, because even if it vibrates, you can get disqualified. So when I was in the medical section, I went ahead and just turned mine off. And then when I was throughout the other steps of the MEPS station, I just went ahead and just turned on vibrate. So we got there, and then we signed in with your fingerprint. If you hadn't been there before, you have to go and do your ASVAB that day. I had already gone in and did my ASVAB, so I was already registered into the system. But basically, you're going to take your fingerprints, they'll take your picture ID, and they're going to give you this name tag. We had to wear it on the left-hand side. I know a lot of people also wear it on the right, depending on what MEP station you're at. But basically, it tells you your ID number, the branch you're going into, if you're going active duty, if you're reserve, and what you're there for. Basically, I did a full physical. So... And then you also have shipper if you're shipping out that day. So that was really cool. We got our stickers, and then it was kind of chaotic because nobody really knew what to do. I ended up going back and forth to my career liaison and back to the service desk, because apparently me and a couple of people that were with Air Force, they lost our records. So we were going back and forth trying to figure out where our name tags were. But we finally found the name tags, and we signed in with our fingerprint. Everywhere you go in and you sign up, you have to sign in with your fingerprint. You did that, and then they tell you where to go. So don't worry about being lost. If you don't know where you're going, just ask where to go. And everybody there was really, really nice. They're strict, but they're really nice. They're there to help you. They understand that you do not know what you're doing. So they're really there to help guide you. The first thing I got thrown into was medical. Once I signed in, they gave you a folder. Inside is going to be your medical records for being at MEPS. And then I didn't really understand why, but throughout the process in the medical section, I found out that all of us had different colored folders in the inside. All of us had like a black folder, but then they had a different color folder inside. Mine was white. I know some people had like brown and pink and yellow, and then they tell you a couple color in the code meetings on the front, but I don't know. That was just my weirdness talking. I was just curious, my curiosity. So we go into medical, you walk in, you have to sign in again, and they took my blood pressure. I was super nervous. I was like the first one to walk in, so my blood pressure was really high. Usually my blood pressure is really on the low on the good side. So I was just because I was nervous. She's like, you know what, don't worry about it. Go around, calm down. I know you're nervous, and just come back. I'm like, okay, no problem. They really don't want you to feel that part, because they'll let you sit there until you calm down, because they know your nerves get the best of you. So I waited there, and then the first thing I did was my vision. I went to the eye room. We did depth perception. Okay, I went in, I practiced a little, because I never knew I was deficient in depth. Apparently I am. I could do it on paper. I could do it practice on the screens, on the computer. I had no problem, but when you look into those machines, it's horrible. I know my recruiter told me a little sneak trick. It's a row of 5 circles, and you have rows after rows. My recruiter told me it can't be the first one or the last one. It have to be one of the middle 3, because each circle has to have something on either side to compare it to. He said, so he narrowed off 2 of them for me. So you have an option of 3. But when I looked at that screen, I couldn't see anything. So apparently I was depth. I don't have depth perception, but in reality, I know I do. It's just like apparently everybody says nobody can read those things. So Air Force usually is the only branch that does that. Depending, I'm not sure about the other branches, but everybody that was processing with me that day didn't have to take it, but Air Force. So you will take the depth perception, color vision. They'll check and see if you're color deficient. I passed that with flying colors, which is really good. And the same machine that you do your depth perception, they'll test your vision in both eyes. and see if you're nearsighted or farsighted. Then they'll do how your eyes focus. You look through a machine, you look at an air balloon, and that is where I had my problem. She had told me that was going to be an automatic DQ. Basically, because it's on a number system, 1, 2, and 3. 1 is qualified, 2 is qualified with limitations, and 3 is disqualified. If you get a 3, that means you have to be you have to get a waiver, pretty much. She told me it's a disqualification, but we do have a lot of waivers for it. And basically, what it was the curvature measurement of my eye was a little off. I had astigmatism. Luckily, mine was 0.25 over the max they really wanted to go. So basically they told me that I have to go and get a doctor's appointment, but that will be later on. So after I do the eyes, I go back and I wait again, and I had to meet with the doctor. And it turned out that there were 3 other girls with me. They weren't there that night. I guess they were all in their rooms, but it was only 4 of us. So we wait for the doctor, and then you wait into a line. The male doctors are over here, the women doctors over here, but he was a male. And you walk in with your packet, and you basically, right before you go in, they give you a sheet and make sure it's like a bubble sheet, like a Scantron. It asks you if you have ever done self-harm, if you've ever had depression, if you've been medically treated for a mental illness that regards towards depression and all that kind of stuff. And you have to do a couple other questions. I'm not sure exactly what it is. And then you take your folder and that paper into the doctor's office, and you sit down. He was really sweet. I do not remember his name, but he was a sweetheart. We pretty much talked over everything, made sure everything on that bubble sheet was correct. Then he asked me, he looked at my records that I had gone with so far, and it got to the point to where he saw the measurement was a little off, and he said, well, we're going to have to go ahead and schedule you to go see an optometrist. He said, you won't be able to swear in today. And my heart kind of sank because I really wanted to swear in, but I was like, okay, I'd rather go ahead and get this done and taken care of. MEPS took care of it. Basically, he said it was going to be anywhere between 1 or 2 weeks before I got my doctor's appointment, and I had to go and to the optometrist. He had to go measure my eye. He'll dilate my eyes, make sure there was no weird scar tissue or any damage in my eyes that could be related to any type of condition that could prevent me from doing the best abilities in the Air Force. So basically, he told me that, and he'll sign me up for that. He said, more than likely, it's so tiny of an amount. Don't lose sleep over it. You'll be fine. He's gonna dilate your eyes. He's gonna see nothing's wrong with it, and we'll get you started. And I was like, okay. So I go ahead and finish up with the doctor. I go out and wait again, and then I go. Where did I go next? I think I went and I did my urinalysis. I went and did my urinalysis. They will watch you pee in the cup. I will tell you that real quickly. So if you are nervous or self-conscious, you better get over it real quick, because you show all your stuff and over at MEPS. Everything's going to be shown. So you walk in, it was 2 girls. It was me and this other girl, and then you had the nurse. And it was like a regular bathroom stall, like 2 stalls, I think, and the doors were taken off. The other girl does not watch you pee in the cup. She stands back against the wall while the nurse watches you pee in the cup. At first, I had to pee so bad. I was like, I have to go. And then so we finally got back there to do it. And then I went to go, and nothing came out. I guess I was just nervous, or the way I was squatting. I don't know what it was, but it got to the point to where I finally peed in the cup. And then you go and with your cup, and you wash. And she doesn't let you wash your hands out. It's so gross. So you seal the cup, and you take it to the little window, and the other nurse is on the other side. And that nurse was the same one that did my eyes, so I kind of already had an idea who she was. And basically, they took a little sample, and they put it on a couple strips to make sure you're not pregnant. They'll take a pregnancy test for girls, and they were going to do a drug test to make sure there was no protein or all that kind of stuff in your blood. In your urine. And then the other part's going to take it to a lab to do further examination. And then once they're clear, she'll talk over your shoulder to the nurse behind you, and she'll document that there's no protein and no this and that in your blood and your urine. For some odd reason, I want to say blood. I'm sorry. And then after that, I was able to wash my hands, and we went over to blood. I got my blood work. She was amazing. I've had bad experiences with people drawing my blood. My first experience was horrible. I didn't feel anything. They only take a small little vial. That's all they need. Just like a little vial like that big. Nothing big. I went ahead and did my blood. She gave me a little cotton ball. I went back into the waiting room, and then I went to do my hearing. It was me and this other girl that kind of went through the same process with me, the one that went to the restroom with me. We had to go do the urinalysis. She followed me pretty much through the entire process, so I got really close with her. We went into the sound booth. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was able to fit 6 or 7 people. And it was me, that girl I was with, and there was a boy that they ended up dragging in there as well. And you sit there up against the wall, and you had earmuffs. And you have a clicker in your hand. All I have to say is, listen. You're going to be able to hear everybody clicking around you. I don't know if it's the same stuff. So don't automatically click your clicker if you hear somebody else, because we were all clicking at different times. So I'm not sure if it was just a test going around. It's different for everybody else. But really pay attention, because there's some really low pitches. If you hear anything, just click it, because it's a soundproof booth, so you can't hear anything from the outside. So if you hear something, click it. But I passed that with flying colors. Then I went back and I waited. There's a lot of waiting. I waited, and then I went to go do the full body examination. And by this time, there was 2 other girls with me, and the third one apparently dropped out. We don't know where she went. There was actually 5 of us girls. One of them left before we even went into the medical, and I forgot to explain a couple things before that. Before we even went into medical, we had an introductory kind of speech. He said, basically, if you're going to lie to us, there's this. Don't listen to it. It's a scare tactic. Don't let them freak you out. That, like, your recruiters are trying to get you in. MEPS is doing everything possible to get you out. Even the recruiters tell you that. But they want to also make sure you're healthy. They're more concerned about you and your well-being. So they did that. You go off into the females with the female and the male with the male, and then you sign your medical paperwork, make sure that you're not lying, and signatures, stuff like that. Then you went into this big room with the girls and the guys, and I'm not exactly sure who it was, but he pretty much did a PowerPoint to explain your process. And then that's when we went over to medical. So then I was with that same person that did our medical records. And then, where was I? She was the one that also took our full body. So one of them dropped out, because she even told us at the beginning, she says, if you have an idea of possibly even thinking about failing my urinalysis test, get sick and go home. One girl got sick, and she went home before we even stepped foot into medical. So she went bye-bye, and then that left us 4, I'm sorry. And then somewhere in the middle of everything, because everybody's in different sections, you just go. There's no order to it. Just whatever's open, go. There's an opening in blood, go to blood. If there's an opening in urinalysis, go to urinalysis. So, like I said, me and this other girl just follow each other. So we found out at the very end, when we were going to do our full body examination, where all the girls would go together, all the boys would go together, we realized we lost the 4th girl. We don't know. So that was already 2 down. That was out, and nobody knew where they were. So we figured that they got disqualified throughout the process. If you get disqualified throughout the process, they will let you know. They're not going to let you go through all of it. Like, well, you kind of just finished for no apparent reason. You got disqualified like halfway through. So they will do that. So 2 girls were missing. So it was just me and the girl that followed me, and this other girl that I didn't really know. She was actually going officer for Air Force. The other one was Army. And I was also Air Force, and I was going just regular enlisted active duty. And we get there, and you go into this room. The floor is freezing, and she says, "All right, get naked, get into your bra and underwear." And girls, I was the chunkiest girl there, so you just don't worry about anything flopping out. Just make sure you wear appropriate undergarments. This one girl wore a sports bra. Sports bras are not allowed. Her recruiter told her yes it was, and you couldn't wear underwire. Sports bras are not allowed because they have to do a test for scoliosis, and the sports bras go right in the middle of your spine, where the regular bra straps go on either side of your shoulder blade. So no sports bras are allowed. They recommend just a regular bra. Make sure your underwear, there's no G-strings, no thongs, no boy shorts. You have to regular tidy whities. And make them clean. I heard there are some people that went in there without some clean undies. Wear some clean undies and make sure they fit, because you're going to be doing a lot of things. Things are going to jiggle everywhere. I'm just saying. But we made it really comfortable because we were all awkward. We're just like, hey, I don't know you, but we're naked. So you're just standing there awkwardly in your undies, and you take off your socks and everything, and then the nurse is just in there talking to you, saying, oh, this is what we're going to be doing. She put on a video to us to watch, and then she gives us paperwork for all of us who had tattoos. And basically, you had to explain what it was, the measurements, and the description of it, and all that, and what colors were all in there. So while we're doing that, they were playing a video up on the wall, showing us the exercises we were going to be doing. Sorry, this video is getting kind of long, but I had a lot of tattoos. Everybody else had like 2, 1, or 3, or something like that. I think only one of them had 1. The other one had 3 and I had 7. And then some of I couldn't reach, so I had to get everybody was just in everybody's everything, trying to measure for everybody. So we get all those measured out. Of course, I was the longest one to take because I had 7 of them. And so I go ahead and get that taken care of. We're all there freezing, and then the male doctor that was taking care of the women when we were meeting our doctors before, when I took care of my eyes, he came in, and if there's a male doctor going to be taking care of females, there has to be a woman present to make sure nothing bad happens, just to be on your security side. So they had us line up, arms width apart, and we did some exercises. For example, some of the ones that we did, I don't remember the exact ones, but we did a lot of flexing. You do your arm like this, and then you go around, make sure you have full flexibility and range. You did this other one, kind of, there was one where you had to have your arm out, shoulder, and then pop really fast to make sure everything's moved properly. And you do the same thing with your foot. You stand your knees bent and you slam it to the ground without it hitting the ground, and you do it again and again, and then you do that forward, and then you do it again and do it backwards. You do that. You had to flex your feet, and you had to round your feet and curl your toes, that type of thing. Nothing big. You had to pull your arms up all the way straight and then slap them down to your thighs without hitting your thighs. You had to do that a couple repetitions. You also had to do the duck walk. I can post a video if anybody wants to see how to do the duck walk. You do the duck walk forward and back. You have to walk on your tippy toes forward and back. Then you have to walk on your heels forward and back. You have to walk on your knees forward and back. The floor is freezing, so don't worry. But they had a heater on the floor, so that's good. You had to do, there's a few other flexing exercises that you had to do just to make sure everything moves. And then you had to do, I call it a quad stretch. Basically, you hold your leg behind your knee, and what the doctor's doing is he's examining your feet. And I got nervous because on my, what foot is it? On my right foot, I had it back, and he tapped my foot and was talking to the nurse saying, we gotta look at this one. And I was like, great, what now? And I was like, my eyes are already messed up. What's going on with my foot? And I realized, like, I have a mole on my foot, and that's about it. But it's hereditary. My mom has it on her left foot, and I have it on my right foot. I'm about to stick my foot up all in the camera here, but there's a mole on the bottom of my foot. And okay, it's gonna be gross, but whatever. It's a mole. It's a mole. So, nothing, but I didn't think anything of it. It was just a mole. But then I was like, okay, I kind of put that in the back of my mind and concentrated on the other steps I had to do. And so I was like, all right. And they did a couple other exercises. Then they had it to where you had to go down on your knee, fall down on your knees at the same time. And then you had to jump and stand back up without using your arms and just strictly your leg muscles. Basically, when they're doing those kind of exercises, they're making sure there's nothing wrong with your knees and your hip joints and your ankle joints. Make sure everything moves properly. I know at the beginning they made you squat and sit there for a minute because a lot of people, they have problems. So if you're down in that position for a while, your knees can lock up. They want to make sure that's not an issue. So then after that, they go ahead and do your height and your weight. And I know this one girl, she was actually underweight. And then the nurse had to go make sure her BMI was okay. So she came out fine. All of us were at the right weight. I still had like 10 or 11 pounds I could have gone, so I was good. Everybody else, I was like the chunker of the bunch. Everybody else had to worry about being too small, and I was like, well, I hope to God I'm not too big. But then they give you this paper gown. That stuff rips, okay? Letting you know the slit goes in the front, not the back, because they have to do a breast examination. So this is when you're going to get completely naked. You got to take off those underwear. You got to take off the bra. Don't worry. Everybody has boobs. Everybody has some happiness down there. So just don't worry about it. Just put it on. It's really quick. If you're actually really nervous about it, they do have little side curtains, but we just didn't care. We just got naked and put on the gown. And so you're waiting, it's freezing, the floor is cold, so everybody found the heater, and we stood by it. And then one by one, they called each of us in. And when I got in there, I was the last one to go. When I got in, I sat on the table. I had to lay down with my arms above my head. And he pulled over my gown just to feel my breast to make sure there was no lumps or sign of cancer. And he explained different ways of how to locate a lump easier. Like basically if you're in the shower, put some body soap on there where there's no friction, and that's why a lot of girls are able to feel there's any lumps a lot easier than if you have dry skin. So they told me that little trick. So I had no lumps, and then he listened to my heart. I sat up, he let me breathe in, breathe out, and then he made sure that he felt around, make sure everything felt right. He felt all up here. He did like a regular examination that your doctor would do, and then we call it they literally call it a sneak and peek. This is the part a lot of girls get nervous, where you have to completely open your legs and let him look inside. Don't worry, it was literally a sneak and peek. He's just pretty much making sure that you have all your girl parts. He's not going to be all up in there with the scope really looking. No, basically I laid back, had my legs up in the straddles, and he was like this. Okay, turn, and then I rolled over. He spread my butt cheeks. Okay, you're good. It was literally 1, 2, done. It was not that bad. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have somebody look at all my mess. But no, it wasn't bad. It was like not even a second. Okay, okay, you're good. So don't worry about it. He's just making sure that you have all your parts, basically. They want to make sure you're a female. And then after that, they told you can go ahead and go and get dressed. So I went back and got dressed and went back into the waiting room. And then once that happened, the doctors at the desk in the medical, they told me to go ahead and schedule an appointment to see an optometrist. So how it worked was, since they didn't know the availability of the doctor, they were going to let my liaison know, which is going to call my recruiter, which is going to call me, let me know when my meeting was. So it was a long chain of demands there. So I go ahead and had to take my paperwork, go back to my career liaison down the hall, and explain to him the situation. He says, okay, no problem. He said, basically, if the doctor's just going to dilate your eyes, basically what the doctor told me, he's going to dilate your eyes, make sure it's all good. If it gives you a 1 or a 2, we're good. I'll go ahead and push it through. Nothing bad. We got this. He says, but it comes back as a 3, which is disqualified. He said, we're going to have to submit a waiver. He said, if we have to submit a waiver, it takes about 30 days. He said, because we have one place that does the entire waivers in the entire United States for Air Force. So it takes a minute. He said it's about 30 days, give or take. So I was really depressed because I was like the only one. I thought I was like the only one that didn't get to swear in that day, that went through everything else. But it turned out that the other guy from Air Force, he had a problem with his shoulder. He had surgery on it in the past, which he did let them know beforehand. So he had to get away for that. So both of the Air Force people had to wait and come back. But it got to the point where they feed you lunch. It started at 11 o'clock, which means you do not have to go at 11 o'clock, but that's when it starts. And you go in there, they sign in, it's signed in by branch, and you find the branch you're in, and then you'll see your name, just sign by it. And then they gave us, I had like turkey, ham, sandwiches, and on white or wheat bread. You got a choice of chips, you can get cookies, you can get soda, water, fruit. They give you a good amount. It was a good like sack lunch. It was really good. And then by that time you're starving. So I want to say I finished about 3 or 4 o'clock. And they have 3 different times to swear in. I think there was one at 11 o'clock, one at 1, and then another one at 3. And so basically I went home, and then I got a phone call from my recruiter the next day, and I had my doctor's appointment. That was my first MEPS was on March 4th. And then I got the phone call, and I had my meeting with my optometrist on the 12th. And then basically on the 12th, I went to MEPS, got dropped off at MEPS because I didn't have a car. My car's been in the shop for like 5 or 6 months. Don't ask. But I got dropped off at MEPS, and MEPS called the bus, and they took me over to my optometrist, which is right down the road from where I live. And I went there. He was really sweet. He basically just dilated my eyes, and he told me it was good news, good job, told me congratulations and good luck. Got all my paperwork and went all the way back up to MEPS. And by the time when on my way to MEPS, it was fine. It was supposed to rain that day. On the way over there, I got off in the bus. The bus driver has to come and sign in and take you out. So we run in, and then as soon as we set foot out, it downpours. I'm talking about downpours. And I wore my suede shoes that day. It was horrible. So it was. But we were running to that bus. So it rained all the way. So I had to sit in the doctor's office, soaking wet and freezing. By the time I was out, I was dry. And then it started sprinkling on my bus ride back. I was like, are you serious? But anyway, I get back to the map station, and I have to sign in again, and they give you back your name tag. You just, every time you sign in or out of MEPS, you have to do your fingerprint, like I said. So I signed in, and then I had to go back to medical while the bus driver was signing out to state that she did drop me off. I went back to medical, and they had to update my files. Basically, I had to take my records that I got from my optometrist, and I had to meet with the doctor. The regular doctor that I saw last time was doing the full body examination to the girls, so I had to actually go to the male doctor. I walked in there, and their setup in their office is a little different. I don't know if that's where they do other things. I've heard. So guys, be warned, because I saw some tables in there. But anyway, basically he sat me down and I explained to him what the other doctor told me. And he pretty much shook my head, congratulations, and thanked me for my interest into the military. And good luck. And God bless again. And then, so basically I got all my records. He approved it. And because the doctor even wrote a note saying she's perfectly fine. There's nothing she can do that nobody else can do. All she uses is glasses or contacts, and she'll be fine. So, which I already knew, because I'm blind as crap. Oh my gosh, there's a glare. I hope that wasn't on there the whole time. But we get there, and I go back up to the front desk, and I wait again. And they update my files. They had a girl from the Navy there. She was learning the way the systems work over there. So they were showing her how to update a file, since I had to do that. And basically they went in where they first put the 3 on in my record saying I was disqualified, and they changed it to the 1 or the, I don't remember, I think it was 2 that they gave was limitations because of my eyes. I have to have a prescription on my eyes. So I have to wear contacts or glasses. They put it 2 because I'm limited. I'm assuming that's what that meant. And they updated it, gave my file, and said congratulations and good luck. And then I walk all the way back down to my liaison, and then that is where the fun started. We started talking about my contract. We got there and we started talking about what jobs I was interested in. And then like other people were coming in, and then I had to do weightlifting. He asked me, do you lift weights? And I said, yeah, I go to the gym and I work on my lifting, my weights. I'm not a beast at it, but I work on them because I want to go to basic in some sort of decent shape. And I'm not sure exactly what the name of this exercise is called or what the machine is called. I know my trainer, because I have a trainer and I work out at Planet Fitness. But it's a machine, and it's like I guess you can practice on how you would deadlift. It's not an assisted machine, I know that for sure. Basically, you have my liaison told me he doesn't like to tell you what weight you're lifting because it's a mental thing. Because if you're like, oh, I can't lift that, your body's not gonna. If you don't know what you're lifting, you're more capable of putting all your into it. So basically, they had 2 marks. They had an Army mark and they had an Air Force mark. Basically, you had the bar and it's weighted. You have to pull it up and then lift. And then down. For some reason, I've heard a lot of people, they'll cut you down, especially if you're Air Force, they'll cut you down on the physical part saying, oh, Army's better, it takes more physical activity. I'm not going to get in that argument because, like I said, I'm not there, so I can't really say anything. I've never gone through the basic trainings on either branch, so I'm not going to say anything. But all I got to say is Air Force, you got to lift your bar all the way up here. Air Force, you got to lift it up here. Just saying. So I ended up lifting 90 pounds above my head. That is over half my body weight, which you want to be able to lift half your body weight or more, which I did. I'm just gonna go ahead and say my height was like 5'5" and I was 145 or 146, one of those, and I was able to lift 90 pounds. And so after that, he'll record it and you sit down. It was kind of a long process because there was a lot of people coming in. It got to the point to where I was doing some survey while somebody else was getting their contract signed. Then like it was asking it was just like generic questions about like why were you doing the Air Force, what influenced you, all that kind of stuff. It was nothing really anything that would like mark against you. It was more like statistical reasons, I'm assuming. But then after that, while he was doing somebody else, he told me to go ahead and go meet with I'm not exactly sure what he's called, but basically you go in this back room. This guy will come and get you, and I guess that's where they do like your background check and all that stuff. You sit there and basically this is where the reality slap in the face is. They get your parents, and then you get your signer, and basically you sign away all of your money in case something happens to you. Who's going to get your benefits? I gave that to my mom. You take who's going to be in charge of your body if something were to happen, and funeral costs. My funeral costs would be up to $100,000, and my mother would be taking care of me if anything would have happened. It's not something that everybody likes to hear, especially parents, but it's definitely good to know that if something were to happen to you, you don't have to have that burden, a financial burden on anybody else. So you know you're taken care of. So I had to sign that away, again, fingerprint. And then after that, he takes you out into this machine. It looks like a copying machine. And that's a computer, and he takes every single fingerprint. So you get a flat, and then you do a rolled print on every single hand. Every single finger, I'm sorry. I have a lot of hands. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you do it with every single finger, and then I went back to my liaison, and then we start talking about my jobs I'm available for. And then the job I originally wanted, I had every qualification except for my depth perception. I was wanting to be a special missions aviation specialist, which was a two-way job merge, which was going to be like a load master and an aerial gunner. My depth perception was the only thing that caught me, but they'll give you all your jobs that you are qualified for. I don't know if you can see because of this glare, that you're qualified for. And he's going to tell you, while I go ahead and put all your medical information in the computer, go ahead and highlight the 7 that you want. And they go ahead and they tell you, I don't know if you can see it. Mechanical will be an M, electrical will be an E, administrative will be an A, and general will be with a G. The 7 that you picked did not have to be in the same category. I know I asked him, I was like, well, which one is the one that's closest to the job I originally wanted? And he told me airborne operations, which was actually, I had put as number uno. I don't know if you can see because the glare on this thing is horrible because the sun is setting at a weird angle. But yes, that was a good thing. I picked 7. The original list that I wanted was completely shot. Do your research on your jobs before you go, because I've heard a lot of liaisons will tell you just about anything to get you signed, especially the jobs that they are trying to fill. They'll kind of sweet talk it a little bit. There's mostly a reason why nobody really wants those jobs, but yet it's a job. Somebody has to do it. But make sure you really do your research on your jobs, because you're signing your life away for like, give or take 3, 4 to 6 plus years. So you want to make sure you're going to be doing something that you really want. I was kind of nervous because everything on this list I wasn't really too familiar with, because my original list had changed because of my depth perception. If you don't have depth perception, you're very limited to some good jobs. So you pick your jobs that you want or you're interested in, and then you're going to get your contract. I'm not going to shine it up here because it has social security numbers and I want to be on the safe side. So you're going to do that. And then once you sign your contract, you're going to, he's also going to give you paperwork about basic military training. I don't know if you can really see that. Anyway, you have your basic paperwork. And then he's going to give you about your VA benefits and stuff like that, what you qualify for and what everything covers. Why is there such a horrible glare on this thing? Okay, and then after that, you go back into the waiting room, and then you get to call. Well, I was able to eat lunch because it was around that time. My liaison was trying to get me into the 2 o'clock swearing. I think that was the 2 o'clock swearing. But it got to the point where we had to do 3 o'clock to be on the safe side. My godparents were able to make it, so I was so excited. I had to go back up to the service center, and they told me congratulations, and they took my folder, and they said they will call us whenever we're ready. And then when we're ready, I didn't know my godparents were going to make it or not, so I walked into the room for prep because they kind of explain what you have to do, and before you get in there and don't mess up or anything. And then I got in there. And it was the 12th. It was March 12th and I was able to swear, and I was so excited. I finally was able to. I go into the room, and we had a Marine that was able to explain to us what we were supposed to do. It was the different one from the first morning I went to MEPS on the 4th. But he was the one that was swearing us in. And there was, I think it was Coast Guard. We had a Navy, we had an Air Force, and we had an Army. And one of them, I think it was Coast Guard, their swearing speech was a little different than ours. So he had to do his separately, and then we had to follow. Well, I guess I was so nervous. He says, he explained it so many times. It just went over my head. But he said, this person, we're going to do him first, and then raise your hand. He shows how to stand in parade rest, how to stand in attention, how to hold your hand up, and all that stuff. And then basically he said, okay, if you have people that are here for you, get them in here. Let's get started and get this thing over with so we can swear you in. All right, walk outside, and I heard my last name. I heard Cogsdale. I was like, what? And then I looked out, and then I see my godparents made it. I'm like, yay, because my parents are in a completely different state. I moved to a completely different state to go to school. And so I was super tickled, and they walked in, and apparently she recorded the entire thing. We got there, and stupid me, I guess I was so nervous of repeating the words wrong that I didn't pay attention, and I messed up. He said, I think it was Coast Guard, raise your hand, and I raised my hand. I was like, oop, and I put it right down again. But they'll do that process, and then you swear in, and then congratulations, you have your families, and then you walk out, and then you sign out, give your name tag to them. They'll shred it, and there goes the glare again. They'll shred it, and then you sign out with your fingerprint, and you're gone. And then you're in the delayed entry program, which is called DEP, and you're supposed to have a follow-up meeting with your recruiter. Mine had to be postponed because I swore in at a late day and a different week, so he wasn't prepared for it. So that was on Wednesday. The 12th was on a Wednesday, and I had to wait till the next Monday to talk to him, which was yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was 2 days ago. Today's Wednesday. 2 days ago. And then after that, I went ahead and I went into my recruiter's office, and he explained to me that, okay, my responsibilities, what I was expected to do, how I have all this paperwork. But basically he said I have to come, the days I was supposed to come in to call him to check in, the calls where I have to actually show up, and we'll do PT training. I have to wear appropriate gear to work out with. All this good stuff. So I'm really, really excited. Hopefully, he said there's not a lot, since there's not a lot of people in a STEP program, that I will probably be getting a job offer in 2 months. So I'm super tickled. Hopefully I get my airborne operations. If not, I'll be doing mechanical work. But I'm super excited. If you have any questions, I know this is a super long video, but I know I did a lot of research trying to figure out what to expect when I went to MEPS, and hopefully this helps a lot of people. If you watched the whole thing, thank you, and I hope I helped you out just a little bit. But that was just my experience of MEPS. Again, I watched a lot of videos, and so hopefully it might help just a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll do my best to make another video for you. Alright, thanks, bye.